The worst thing to happen for most of us on a trip to McDonald's is finding out that the shake machine is down, but the people who work at McDonald's have a whole boatload of things to deal with whenever they walk under those golden arches. Ranging from disgruntled guests and long lines to the inconvenient hours and grease burns, fast food service is far from easy. When one employee of a Miami-area Mickey D's showed up for his early morning shift, he never anticipated he would be faced with a supersized dilemma in between taking orders. But in just a couple of hours, he was faced with the ultimate test of his customer service skills. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Pedro Valoria, 22, had an exceptional attitude and admirable work ethic because he and his 4 siblings had an example of serious hard work and self-sacrifice their mother. Busting her hump at 2 jobs, she did everything in her power to provide for her kids and plan for their futures. Despite his mother's hardest efforts, the cost of sending Pedro to college was just too high. Even though he maintained high grades, he didn't qualify for academic scholarships. He needed to find a way to pay for tuition on his own. Determined to make the funds himself, Pedro went looking for a job, but he found the process more difficult than he anticipated. To his dismay, potential employers weren't too impressed by his resume of odd jobs like babysitting and yard work. Not letting his limited experience dampen his spirits, Pedro suited up and hit the pavement. Business after business he visited, it was the same story. His lack of a resume was met with a "no thanks" as they walked him out of the door. But he wasn't the kind of guy to give up. Pedro took part-time jobs in his neighborhood to earn cash. He walked dogs, cleaned carpets, and even washed dishes. With a portion of his saved earnings, Pedro wanted to treat his family, particularly his mother, to a fun night on the town. His mom urged him to save his money, but Pedro was firm in his choice. The future was important, but so was taking time to enjoy the present as a family. So, they all went bowling, a favorite family pastime. When they were done with their game, they stopped for a bite to eat at McDonald's, and it was there Pedro noticed a sign reading, "Help Wanted." It was part-time and paid higher than minimum wage, so Pedro thought, "What the heck?" He filled out an application. A few days later, Pedro received a phone call. He got the job. Relieved and ready to begin, Pedro looked forward to proving himself in his first real job. He was also relieved to be taking some of the burden from his mother's shoulders, but he didn't hit the ground running the way he'd hoped. Training proved to be more difficult than he anticipated. There was a lot to keep track of, and each role in the restaurant had different rules. Plus, he was expected to work, well, fast. Between working the register, bagging orders, drive-thru, and food prep, he had a lot to learn. Eventually, he fell into the routine. Punch in at 5 a.m., work a full shift, head home and look after the siblings, get the kids to bed, catch some Z's, rinse, repeat. Early morning shifts were a pain in the neck, but Pedro didn't complain. He was grateful to finally be able to contribute to the household. Small details that others might overlook, Pedro noticed. He never put fries in the bottom of an order to prevent them from getting soggy. In the drive-thru, when children screamed in the back seat, he was extra friendly and patient with the frazzled parents. Putting money away for school, he kept his goal in sight. With his nose to the grind, things at work became second nature. Pedro's bosses took notice of his can-do spirit and the progress he'd made. Then one shift, something happened that would put his customer service skills to the ultimate test. This particular morning, Pedro was taking orders at the drive-thru. After a family pulled up to the window, something interrupted the mellow sizzle of the fryers. Children in the backseat of the car were screaming in fright. "Stop! Mother! What are you doing?" the kids yelled. The woman driving the car was slumped in her seat. Eyes closed, she was unresponsive to her kids' attempts to rouse her. Worse yet, the car didn't stop. It lurched forward and kept driving, with the unconscious woman behind the wheel and her shouting kids in the back. Pedro reacted instantly. Their Happy Meals left on the counter, Pedro hopped out of the window and chased after the car. His quick response to the alarming event was caught on the McDonald's surveillance camera. Pedro ran after the car and managed to open the driver's door. Before any serious damage to the car or the people inside, he got the car to stop. As it turned out, the driver had placed her order and then passed out cold. Thinking fast, Pedro called out to the others inside the restaurant for help. The woman was still not awake, but he didn't know how to assist her. Thankfully, there was another force on the impaired woman's side that day, besides fast-acting Pedro. In response to Pedro's cries for help, the customers that had been eating inside ran out to help him. In what could only be a lucky coincidence, it was a pair of off-shift firefighters and a paramedic grabbing a bite after work. They stepped in to help. After removing the woman from her car, they stabilized her. The kids in the back seat were safe, just worried about their mom. She was rushed to the hospital. Pedro's actions were crucial and just in the nick of time. When the woman, an off-duty police officer, arrived at the hospital, she was in critical condition. If Pedro hadn't rushed to help her, she might not have survived. Eventually, the woman was expected to make a full recovery. Spokespeople from McDonald's said Pedro's heroic actions were a surprise to no one who worked with him. He had shown his knack to go above and beyond in all aspects of his job, and helping a customer in need was just part of the fiber of his being. They said they were proud to have him on their team. Pedro, on the other hand, was shocked to learn he had helped save the life of a police officer. He had been jolted out of the familiar pattern of taking orders to leaping through a window in seconds. This got him thinking about the future. The event inspired Pedro to consider pursuing a new career to train as a paramedic. Everything came full circle. He started the position at McDonald's to save for his future, and he ended up discovering his true passion for helping others.